Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss some paragraph questions of the chapter Logic and Language of Block 2 of the paper Humanism and Logic of Srinarayana Guru Open University. So, let's begin. First question: explain the informative function of language and its importance in logic. The informative function of language involves using statements to inform and describe facts. Examples include Trivandrum is the capital of Kerala. 2 plus 2 is 4 and Aristotle is the author of Organon. These statements are either true or false, carrying truth values. Logicians are primarily concerned with this kind of statement because they form the basis for affirming or denying propositions and constructing arguments. The clear and precise use of informative language is crucial for evaluating statements and drawing valid conclusions in logical reasoning. Without accurate and unambiguous informative statements, logical analysis and argumentation become challenging. Second question: discuss the expressive function of language and its relation to logic. The expressive function of language involves expressing emotions, feelings, and sentiments. Examples include exclamations like terrific or fantastic, or statements like, oh, what a terrific match. These expressions do not aim to convey factual information but rather to convey the speaker's emotional state or subjective experience. Expressive language is often found in poetry where the purpose is not to teach or inform but to evoke emotions in the reader or listener. Since emotions are neither true nor false, applying the standard of truth and falsehood to expressive language is meaningless in the context of logic. While expressive language serves important communicative purposes, it does not directly contribute to logical reasoning, which is primarily concerned with evaluating the validity of arguments based on factual statements and premises. Third question: elaborate on the directive function of language and its implications for logic. The directive function of language involves using statements to command, suggest, or request others to perform specific actions. Examples include close the door, come here, and please give me your pen. These statements are not evaluated based on truth or falsity, as their purpose is not to communicate information but rather to elicit a desired behavior or response from the recipient. In the context of logic, directive statements do not directly contribute to the evaluation of arguments or the establishment of logical truths. However, they can play a role in the presentation or communication of logical reasoning by providing instructions or requests related to the logical analysis or argumentation process. Fourth question: explain the ceremonial and performative functions of language and how they differ from the informative function. The ceremonial function of language involves using words or phrases to greet others, such as hey, hello, or good morning. These expressions do not convey factual information but serve a social or cultural purpose of acknowledging the presence of others. The performative function, on the other hand, involves using language to accomplish social acts such as making promises, congratulating, or apologizing. For example, when a person says, I promise to do it, they are not merely reporting an intention but actually performing the act of making a promise. But the ceremonial and performative functions differ from the informative function in that they are not concerned with conveying factual information or making statements that can be evaluated as true or false. Instead, they serve practical or social purposes that are distinct from the goals of logical reasoning or argumentation. While these functions are important for effective communication and social interaction, they are not directly relevant to the principles and methods of logic which focuses on the informative function of language. Fifth question, discuss the role of definitions in eliminating ambiguities and facilitating logical reasoning. Definitions play a crucial role in eliminating ambiguities and facilitating logical reasoning. Ambiguities in language can lead to misunderstandings, verbal disputes, and invalid conclusions. By providing clear and precise definitions of terms, ambiguities can be resolved and a common understanding can be established among parties involved in logical discourse. There are different types of definitions, each serving a specific purpose. Stipulative definitions assign new meanings to terms while lexical definitions report established usages. Precising definitions aim to reduce vagueness by clarifying the boundaries of a term's application, while theoretical definitions attempt to capture the essence of a concept within a theoretical framework. Persuasive definitions, on the other hand, are often used to influence attitudes or emotions rather than clarify meanings. In the context of logic, clear and unambiguous definitions are essential for constructing valid arguments, evaluating premises, and drawing sound conclusions. Without precise definitions, the interpretation of statements and the validity of inferences can be compromised. By establishing a shared understanding of key terms through well defined concepts, logical reasoning can proceed more effectively, minimizing the potential for misinterpretations and fallacious arguments. Sixth question, explain the concept of emotively neutral language and its importance in logical reasoning. Emotively neutral language refers to the language that is free from subjective emotions, persuasive elements, or emotive appeals. It is characterized by the objective and impartial tone, focusing on factual information rather than evoking emotional responses. In the context of logical reasoning, emotively neutral language is crucial for maintaining objectivity and facilitating effective evaluation of arguments based on reason and evidence. When language is emotively charged or laden with emotional appeals, it can obscure the logical structure of arguments and introduce biases or irrelevant considerations. Emotive language is often used to persuade or influence attitudes rather than to present factual information or logical premises. In contrast, emotively neutral language allows for a clear and dispassionate examination of the validity and soundness of arguments free from the influence of subjective emotions or rhetorical persuasion. By employing emotively neutral language, logical reasoning can proceed based on objective facts, logical principles, and rational analysis. This approach helps in separate emotions from the evaluation of arguments, ensuring that conclusions are drawn based on the merits of the premises and the logical structure of the reasoning process. Emotively neutral language is essential for maintaining impartiality, preventing fallacious appeals to emotion, and fostering a rigorous and reasoned approach to logical discourse. These are some of the important essay questions of the chapter Logic and Language, and in the next video we are going to discuss the essay questions of the same chapter. Thank you for listening.